Today we have Dr. Jompon from Mahidol University to share with us on cybercrime in Thailand. Dr. Jompon is one of course, a leading academic in Thailand in this area, and I've known him for many years, and I know his research has the majority of his research focused on cybercrime law, and I believe he will be the best person to talk about these topics to the audience as my students. So, Dr. Jompon, could you tell everyone a little bit about your background and your research focus?
Thank you very much for having me, Dr. Lennon, Chang. My name is Jompon Pitaksantayothin. I'm now working for Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, Mahidol University, Thailand. Actually, my educational background is law. I focus on cybercrime, IT law in general, and now I also try to move on to some kind of digital technologies such as artificial intelligence as well. But although I'm moving to the new things, the new area, I still want to maintain my specialties in the area of cybercrime and internet-related laws.
Thank you, Jompon. Now let's go back into our questions. What are the key cybercrime problems in Thailand, and what do you think might be special in Thailand?
In terms of cybercrime, I can say that as in other countries, Thailand also have different types of cybercrime as well. But according to the Thai Search, which is an agency, governmental agencies, which collects data about cybercrime in the country, in 2020, the most serious problem in Thailand was malware, because the Thai Search got the kind of cases report about 681 cases about that relate to malware. So this, as a result, malware is on the first place in terms of prevalence. And on the second place, it is about online fraud. As you know, that people in Thailand use a lot of what is it called? Lines, which is chatting applications, and Facebook, social media, or something like that. They got some kind of they get some kind of fraudulent messages several times. So the fraud is on the second place, and the third one is about the attacking of computer system vulnerability. So these three types of cybercrimes are the top three in Thailand in 2020.
Oh, interestingly, like we'll interview other colleagues from the region, and online fraud seems to be a very regional thing that happens in ASEAN countries, and of course, Thailand is also one of fall in this kind of categories. And we believe there might be some cultural issues that we need to look into in order to understand better why fraud has become so popular here in Asian countries. And you've touched on cyber-dependent crime and cyber-enabled crime. Could you also tell us a little bit about the legal environment, or how in terms of the Thai laws and regulations, what are the laws that's been used to tackle these problems, and how compared to the Convention on Cybercrime, how do you see Thai's cybercrime law fits in that category?
Okay. At the moment, the regulation of cybercrime in Thailand is comprised of three significant legal frameworks. The first one is we have a Computer-Related Crime Act 2007, and it was amended once in 2017. So this is the key piece of legislation, and of course, it is the first one which came into effect as well, right? Basically, it imposes criminal penalties on different criminal acts such as hacking, tapping, malware-related activities, disruptions of computer system, and other certain legal content on the internet, illegal content on the internet. So since its promulgation in 2007, it has been the principal legal tool to combat cybercrime. So in my opinion, police officers, state prosecutors, judges are quite familiar with these acts because it has been in place for over a decade. And the second one, we have a Cybersecurity Act 2019. It is quite new. What I can say is that while the Computer-Related Crime Act plays an active role in combating cybercrime, the Cybersecurity Act plays a passive role. Fundamentally, this act was designed to give the power to the relevant authorities to assess cyber threats and impose and implement necessary measures to deal with the cyber threats, which happen domestically or those come from outside the country. The main aims are to protect the computer system in the country, to handle the cyber threats, and to reduce risks caused by such cyber threats. So under this Cybersecurity Act, the Cybersecurity Committee was set up to be the commander-in-chief. So it has the power to order other relevant authorities, including those in the private sectors, to do it according to the computer safety guidelines. And the third one is, it is also a new piece of legislation as well. It is Personal Data Protection Act 2019. Although it was designed to protect personal data and certain aspects of online privacy, this act is relevant to cybercrime in the way that it requires data controllers and data processors to implement necessary measures to keep personal data stored on their computer systems safe and sound. And if there is any online intrusions or an accident of data leak, they have to notify the Personal Data Protection Committee and data subjects without delay. So these three pieces of legislation are the key regulations which the Thai government uses to deal with computer crime in Thailand.
Well, you mentioned about the Personal Data Protection Act, data privacy. It's interesting that it seems to be a trend in the region as well. See other colleagues talking about that. When you touch on the reporting, is it a mandatory reporting? I mean, if the companies or agencies fail to report, they'll be punished?
Yes, exactly. So just like because this law itself, actually I can say it is not kind of pure criminal law. However, it imposes the duty on the data controller and data processors to report without delay. Without doing it, they will be fined. So I think the fine is a big amount of money in Thailand as well. So at the moment, many private sectors, businesses, and companies are afraid of it and are quite in the panic state because they have to prepare to set and overhaul the whole system of data processing and data storage. So it is a big deal now in this country.
Yeah, I believe so. For most of the countries who are starting to launch this personal data protection law, everyone is watching and see how they can really align with the requirement of the law. And back to our questions. We talk about all these laws and regulations and different types of cybercrimes. And I think one of the questions that interests most of our audience and students here will be, what do you think might be emerging in Thailand in terms of research into cybercrime, and what might be how would be able, what would you recommend, suggest or recommend in terms of building up international collaborations with colleagues in Thailand on this area?
So I would like to say that although cybercrime is not new in Thailand, cybercrime research is still at a toddler stage. So everything for researchers, everything is quite new. Cybercrime changes and evolves rapidly. Research in this country, in Thailand, is quite slow and typically lags behind the new cyber threats. Moreover, the research in Thailand still very much depends on knowledge from other technologically advanced countries. So it means that Thailand rarely builds up its own new knowledge at the domestic level. So another thing is both IT technicians and those in legal studies, and including those in social science, conduct research on cybercrime. However, it appears that these two sections lack dialogues and conversations. In many cases, IT people just do not understand the legal and social context in Thailand. Likewise, judicial and social scientists do not, and they even don't try to understand technical issues on cybercrime as well. So for me, I think the collaboration between these two sections in doing research is very rare at the moment. Another thing is information and data, which are essential and necessary, just like a raw material for conducting research in this area, are kept by public and private sectors. However, both sectors are not quite willing to share information with each other and with researchers in the higher education institutes as well. So it is very difficult for researchers, including me, to get in-depth information and data from them. So for example, if I want to get the statistics in depth about the aspects of the cybercrime, I have to write a long letter to explain everything, get approval from my boss, and submit it to the, for example, Ministry of Digital Economy, and wait for the whole bureaucratic process. And that's really discourages me to carry on. So to a certain extent, I feel like it is much easier to do research on cybercrime in other countries rather than in Thailand. So that is the main problem here.
Well, for cybercrime, we will say it's a more interdisciplinary cross-nation studies. It's different to the traditional disciplines that you just need to focus on your own discipline. You don't have to know what is happening in other disciplines. But you did actually touch on a very interesting topic that in cybercrime areas, a lot of people still think that's the problem of technology or from computer science. The research from social sciences or even from law are still less important. I mean, exactly. To some people's opinion. But it's good that we start to see that people start to focus more on human errors, social or psychological side of cybercrime. Like when we talk about internet fraud, people start to talk about victims and offenders rather than technology itself. So they see more and more crimes are related to human rather than technology. But yeah, indeed, we definitely need to do more work in future collaborations. Hopefully from these opportunities, we'll be able to build up some hubs or alliance that links the researchers from the region, and we can do something together. All right, thanks, Dr. Jompon. It's very informative. I believe a lot of people learn a lot from you on what is happening in Thailand, and we do. I believe there might be some questions that they come up when this video has been broadcast. So I'll pass the questions to you if that's okay.
Oh, that's no problem at all.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Take care. See you soon.